Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on the if function with the and the or functions. Why would we need to use these functions together? You can use an if statement to help make a decision and do something else, whether it's a calculation or print out a message. But what happens if your decision, your logical test, is actually a series of multiple logical tests? That's where the combination of the and the or within the if statement come into play. So here's an example of the syntax for an if with an and. Here's the syntax and an example of what an if with an and would look like. Starts out with an equal sign, followed by if, open paren. Then in this area where our and is listed here, and this all the way up to the comma just before value of true, is our logic test area, and this is where we've placed our and with its series of logic tests. We have an opening parenthesis for if, an opening parenthesis for and, a closing parenthesis for and, comma, our value if true, comma, our value if false, and our last closing parenthesis for the if statement. The example for our if with an or looks very similar. We have equals if, open parenthesis for the if. Now instead of the and we have the or, open parenthesis. The series of logic tests for the or, close parenthesis. And here's the comma that indicates that we have just completed the logic test for the if statement, followed by the value if true, comma, value if false, closing parenthesis. Here's an Excel file so we can look at an example. Let's start with the if with an and. I'm going to start by starting up my if statement dialog box. Now within the logical test of my if statement I'm going to add the and. The and starts with and open parenthesis. Let's evaluate a series of 3 tests in this situation. Let's look for homes that are greater than 1,599 square feet, basically 1,600 square feet and greater. Homes that, as well as that have at least 3 bathrooms and that have at least 3 bedrooms. First, the test for the square footage, which is in G2, that's greater than 1599. I could have written that to say greater than or equal to 1600, but I chose this, comma, second logic test for my and statement, H2, the number of bathrooms, greater than 2, because I only want those homes that have at least 3, comma, and finally, those that have at least 3 bedrooms, I'll find that number in I2 and it needs to be greater than 2. Close that parenthesis and there's my if statement logic test, which is in fact an or with 3 logical tests. Each one of those 3 needs to be true before it will do what's in value of true. If these 3 conditions are met, I'm going to put in a statement to check it out because I have clients who would really like homes with these 3 conditions. If it doesn't meet those 3 criteria, I'm going to leave it blank, so I'm going to put in 2 double quote marks with no space between them so that nothing is placed in the cell. Again, remember, here I'm using an Excel table. I can tell because Table Tools Design tab is open. So when I click OK, it should populate this entire column. I need to make that a little larger. And there we have several homes in our list that appear to meet the needs of the clients. Now, let's do an if with an or. So once again, I start with an if in the dialog box. My logical test will be an or. I've got 2 arguments that I'm going to look at here. One to evaluate the length of the cell and one to evaluate the sales price. If houses took either too long to sell, i.e. more than 30 days, or the sales price was less than $90,000, I want to reconsider whether or not I continue building those types of homes as part of my project management. So in F2, I find my sale date minus E2, my list date. If that number is greater than 30, I'm going to consider no longer using this home style or if D2, the sales price, is less than $90,000. I don't want to consider using this home again, this type of home again. If that's true, if either of those criteria are true, I will put in reconsider. If neither of those are true, then I probably want to keep building that type of house, so I'm going to leave the cell blank. As you can see, the results show that there are many homes that meet this criteria, so I have some business decisions to make. In summary, if with or and are fairly straightforward, you need to make sure that you put your and with opening and closing parentheses as your logic test in the if, or your or with opening and closing parentheses as your logic test in the if. Your value of true and value of false remain the same as they do in a standard if statement. Both of these combinations are great tools for helping make good business decisions.